You know that feeling, right? That little mental gymnastics routine you do trying to figure out if someone you're clicking with is actually clicking with you.
Oh, yeah.
It can be a real head scratcher, especially when you're trying to read the signs from guys that go beyond the obvious stuff.
It's a universal puzzle, for sure. And, well, that's what we're tackling head on today. We've looked closely at a really insightful interview with relationship expert Susan Winter,
Mm-hmm.
a video that digs into the underlying reasons a man might be interested, and a very practical guide to decoding those sometimes cryptic, flirty texts.
Exactly. Forget trying to analyze every single word or, overthink a fleeting glance. Our goal today is to give you some solid, less obvious clues
Right.
to help you understand if someone is genuinely interested romantically.
Yeah.
We're talking about those actions and signals that really tell the story.
Okay, let's dive in then. One of the first things that really stood out, particularly from Susan Winter's perspective, is that genuine interest isn't just about saying sweet nothings. It's about seeing if their actions actually back up their words.
Right. She really drills down on this idea of alignment. It might sound straightforward, but it's so fundamental, isn't it?
Totally.
She specifically pointed to making time and doing what he says as key indicators. It kind of cuts through the "I'm so busy" excuses, doesn't it?
It really does.
If someone's truly interested, they'll find a way.
Absolutely. And the video we looked at echoes this perfectly with its idea of an effort test.
Ah, the effort test. Yeah.
It's about whether they actually follow through. Do they make those coffee dates happen?
Hmm.
Do they prioritize seeing you without you having to, initiate every single time? Are they consistently present?
Yeah, that consistency point is key. And the contrast the video drew with cheap words was really impactful. They
Right.
used that example of someone suggesting getting together and then just poofing, disappearing completely.
Yeah.
That lack of follow-through speaks volumes, doesn't it?
It really does.
It makes you wonder if the initial suggestion was even, sincere in the first place.
What's fascinating when you look at both of these sources together is how they both land on this idea of reliability.
Yeah, reliability.
It's not necessarily about these huge romantic movie moments, but more about that consistent, dependable effort that really signals genuine investment and, interest.
So, okay, beyond just the big picture of making time, what are some of the more subtle things? Because Susan Winter also brought up this really interesting point about remembering small details, the significance of that.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
This is where things get really interesting. Winter emphasizes that when someone has genuine interest, they truly listen.
Right.
And they care enough to tuck away those little things you mentioned, your quirky habits, how you like your morning coffee, just those small, unique things that make you, you.
Mm-hmm.
And doesn't that also speak to a level of empathy and genuine curiosity,
Yeah.
going beyond just surface level politeness?
Definitely. And it's not just about recalling the information, is it? It's about doing something with it.
It's exactly.
Winter gave some great examples, like someone putting real thought into a gift that relates to a passing comment you made weeks ago.
Yeah, or sending you an article that connects to a conversation you had, something relevant.
Precisely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the video also touches on this, framing it in terms of emotional connection.
Emotional connection. It's that active listening and retention of details that shows they're really engaging with you on a deeper level, not just surface conversation.
The video's example of surprising you with tickets to see a band you mentioned in passing weeks ago is such a great illustration of that.
Perfect example.
It shows they were actually present in the conversation and that they value your interests. Think about your own recent interactions. Have you noticed any of these moments where someone remembered a seemingly small thing you said? It feels different.
It really does. And the video makes a crucial distinction here between those very general, almost obligatory questions. They even joked about what's your favorite color, versus those more thoughtful inquiries about your passions, your opinions, what truly matters to you.
Yeah.
The latter really indicates a genuine interest in understanding who you are as a person, not just ticking boxes.
Okay, so we've talked about actions lining up with words, this attentiveness to the little things. Now, let's navigate the world of modern dating, which, let's be honest, often plays out on our phones.
Oh, definitely.
That article on interpreting flirty texts that feels incredibly relevant for so many people right now.
Absolutely. Right. Digital communication is such a significant part of how we connect these days.
Mm.
So having some insight into the nuances of text flirting is, well, it's key.
Yeah.
The article highlights several indicators that can suggest more than just friendly interest.
One of the first things the article points out is quick replies.
Hmm.
As a sign of someone being eager to talk to you and valuing the conversation. It makes sense, right?
Totally.
If someone's genuinely excited to hear from you, they're probably not going to leave you hanging for hours and hours
Yeah.
or days.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the speed of the reply, but also what they're actually saying.
Good point.
The article emphasizes that messages beyond one word are a positive sign. It shows they're actually invested in having a back and forth and getting to know you through your exchanges.
Takes a bit more effort than just K or lol.
Right. It takes a little more effort to craft a thoughtful response.
And this ties right back to that idea of them wanting to learn more about you, because the article also highlights the significance of them asking personal questions.
There it is again.
It's that same curiosity we saw in the video, wanting to dig a little deeper than just, surface level chat.
What's interesting is how these seemingly minor text behaviors actually mirror those bigger themes of effort and remembering details we've already discussed.
That's so.
Well, asking personal questions shows they're making an effort to learn about you, right?
Right.
And referencing things you previously texted about shows they're paying attention to those details, even in text form.
Ah, okay. I see the connection. The article also touches on those classic little gestures like good morning and good night texts.
The classics. Yeah.
It's a sweet and simple way of showing that you're on their mind at the beginning and end of their day.
Which, again, reinforces that idea of you being someone they think about even when you're not directly interacting.
Mm-hmm.
It's a subtle but meaningful little indicator of where their thoughts are.
And then there are the genuine compliments, and the article specifically points out that these go beyond just mentioning your physical appearance. That feels really important.
It's huge, complimenting your intelligence, your sense of humor, your kindness.
Yeah, things like that.
Those speak to a deeper appreciation for who you are as a whole person, not just what you look like on the outside.
Yeah.
Have you received a compliment like that and noticed how different it felt?
Oh, absolutely. It feels much more validating and genuine. Okay, let's talk emojis.
Emojis.
Because the article definitely mentions flirty emojis and how they can be a playful way to signal interest that goes beyond just friendly banter.
The wink, the kissy face.
Exactly. We all kind of understand the implication there.
They definitely add that lighthearted, potentially flirtatious element. And while, not everyone is an expert in emoji use,
Sure.
a consistent pattern of those kinds of emojis can certainly suggest a romantic leaning.
Now, this next point from the article is interesting because it deals with what isn't happening as much as what is. It talks about not getting regular double texts as a sign of respecting your space.
Right, the space thing.
But then it also notes that occasional double texts can actually show comfort and excitement. It's a bit of a fine line, huh?
It is a balance. Someone who's constantly bombarding you with messages might feel overwhelming, sure.
Yeah, a bit much.
But an occasional double text, especially if it adds to the conversation or shows enthusiasm about something you're discussing, can be a positive sign. It shows they're comfortable and genuinely interested in continuing the interaction.
Okay, that makes sense. Another key takeaway from the text article is the importance of them initiating text conversations.
Yes, initiation.
It shouldn't always be you reaching out first, right? If they're consistently starting conversations, that shows you're on their mind and they actually want to connect with you.
Exactly. It indicates that they value your interactions enough to actively seek them out. Initiating takes a little bit of effort, so it's definitely a meaningful sign of interest.
And I really like this one, coming up with random things to talk about.
Right?
It's like they just enjoy chatting with you, even if there's no specific agenda or pressing need, just reaching out.
That speaks volumes about how much they value your company and your conversations. It suggests they're comfortable enough to just share whatever's on their mind, whether it's something big or just a passing thought.
Yeah, enjoying the connection itself. And finally, the article highlights asking about your day because he genuinely cares.
Simple but important.
It's that thoughtfulness shining through, even in a simple text message like, how was your day?
And that circles right back to Susan Winter's point about remembering those small details and the video's emphasis on emotional connection.
Right, it all connects.
It's about showing a real interest in your life and well-being, not just going through the motions.
So when you piece it all together, the way words and actions align, like Susan Winter described, the attention to those little details we heard about, and then all these more subtle cues in texting, like those quick replies, personal questions, initiating conversations, and that genuine interest in your day.
Yeah.
It really paints a much clearer picture than just waiting for those big, obvious romantic gestures, doesn't it?
Absolutely. What's really insightful is seeing how these seemingly separate pieces of information actually weave together to tell a more complete story.
Like how?
Well, for example, when the text article talks about initiating conversations and asking personal questions,
Uh-huh.
those are really just digital ways of showing the broader themes of effort and a desire to get to know you on a deeper level, which both Susan Winter and the video highlighted as key indicators. It's the same core principle.
It all boils down to making you feel seen, heard, and valued, doesn't it? That was a really resonant point in the video's conclusion.
It does. Genuine interest, no matter how it's expressed, whether it's in person or, through a screen, ultimately comes down to making you feel like you truly matter to them.
So as you're navigating those sometimes confusing signals of romantic interest, remember to look beyond the surface. Pay attention to whether their actions match their words.
Uh-huh.
Notice when those little details you share are remembered and acted upon, and really analyze the patterns and nuances of your digital communication. Don't just skim.
Yeah, look at the pattern, not just one single text. And maybe take a moment to reflect on times when you've noticed these less obvious signals in the past.
Oh, good point.
What did those situations ultimately reveal? Thinking about those moments of genuine connection and what truly indicated someone's authentic interest. Well, that might give you even deeper insights moving forward.